Okay, I call this special board meeting of June 10th, 2025 to order. Can we have a roll call on attendance, please?
Yes, for a roll call, for attendance purposes, Trustee Couch.
Here, present.
Trustee Daly, not present. Trustee Dotson, not present. Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Reyes, not present. Trustee Walcott.
Here.
Chair Swanson.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make an amendment to 1.39,
Okay,
and that amendment would be to terminate this legal counsel.
instead of resignation, termination?
Instead of resignation, termination.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second to the termination of Sean Fitzgerald Law Firm. Discussion. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just want to say the reason that I do support this, there's things that I believe that the public doesn't know. First off, since I've met Mr. Fitzgerald, he has done nothing but bash Shonda numerous times. I took some notes here. He has been contacting some board members, and I know you have asked several times that if he is not to speak to any of us unless it goes through you, so it wasn't an Andy Everman 2.0. And that's been happening numerous times as well. I also witnessed how he acted in our board policy meeting towards the other attorney, very volatile and unpredictable. So those are the reasons that I'm not supporting him.
Any other comments?
I have the same issues other than the way that he presented himself in the closed session, and that's why I'm asking for this to be an amendment to the agenda.
Okay. All right. Any others? Well, myself, I've lost confidence in Sean because the way he has acted in committee meetings, being disrespectful to the other attorney. There's numerous other things that have upset me about him, but I basically have lost confidence in him. So, all right, any other comment? All right, let's go to a vote, a roll call vote, please.
The motion before the board is to amend the agenda to replace 1.39 from reading acceptance of letter of resignation as board attorney by Cummins, McClory, Davison, Atcho to termination of contract as board attorney. And take the vote now. Those present, Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Walcott,
Yes.
Trustee Couch,
Yes.
Chair Swanson.
Yes.
The motion to add it to the agenda has passed.
Okay, communications. Oh, apologize. Okay, the adoption of the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
The motion is to adopt the agenda as amended. Trustee Walcott,
I second it.
Yes, I'm taking the vote.
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Chair Swanson?
Yes.
The agenda as amended is adopted.
Now we're to communications. Jordan?
Mr. Chair, there are no communications.
Thank you. Okay, public comment. We welcome public comment at the meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act and Board Policy 1640. It is the best practice for the board to enforce all the rules, including 1640. Just to summarize, speakers must identify themselves and any group that they represent. They must identify the subject matter of the remarks, and they are limited to 5 minutes each. And because this is a special meeting, remarks must relate only to the items on the agenda. Jordan?
The first comment has been submitted by Elizabeth Jordan on the topic of selecting an interim attorney.
Good evening, trustees. Thanks for the opportunity to comment this evening. As was stated, I want to talk about the selection process for interim counsel, and I want to do that by first sharing a story. I don't know if any of you are fans of comedy movies, but there's a movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that has to be one of the funniest ones I've ever seen. The premise is you've got two fellows, John Candy and Steve Martin. They're trying to get home for Thanksgiving, and they take every mode of transport to get there. Now, there's a scene in it where you've got these two guys in a rental car driving down the highway. And the car pulls up next to them, rolls down the window, and is trying to get their attention. And John Candy and Steve Martin kind of look at each other like, oh, what do they know what they're talking about? And the guys are insistently saying, you're going the wrong way. And then John Candy looks at Steve Martin and says, how do they know where we're going? And they kind of blow off all those warnings, don't pay attention to it, and then it ends in a fiery crash. Really funny in the movie, not so funny when it happens in real life, right? So why do I bring this up? Well, because we're at a point now where this board has been fired as a client 2 times in 6 months. And that is, in my opinion, lawyer speak for rolling down the windows and shouting, you're going the wrong way. And it's really important, I think, as this board considers how to proceed with selecting an interim counsel and eventually a permanent one, to realize that there is value in having counsel that will tell you when you're going the wrong way. That even if you tend not to agree with them, even if they have a different orientation in terms of how they look at things, there is value and purpose to having legal counsel that does not always agree with you. Because you need somebody who can read the signs on the road and realize when you're headed in the wrong direction, so they can give you that advice and you can make a sober assessment. And so I hope that that's the approach that you will take tonight, as opposed to going with what may seem the most expedient right now, but to really to take time to realize you have been given some pretty clear warning signs, and I think it's worthwhile to take the time to take a look at that and adjust if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan?
The next comment has been submitted by Paul Jordan of Linwood on the topic of board attorney.
Well, it's kind of appropriate that I'm following my daughter because I want to start by telling you about the baseball game she and I went to on Sunday. It was a great game. Tigers won 4-0, 11 strikeouts, a couple walks from a perfect game. You're not doing that well. The Tigers did a lot better. Mr. Brickley, your previous board attorney, submitted a legal opinion that you didn't like, and you didn't pay attention to, and he subsequently resigned because he thought it would be unethical to write a contract that he believed had been authorized illegally. Strike one. Now, Mr. Fitzgerald, his replacement, whom you hired through a process that I applaud. It was very good. It was open, it was competitive, it was public. Now, Mr. Fitzgerald, and by the way, I was at some of those policy meetings, and he did take issue with some things, but I think you'll find that attorneys do have different opinions, and that's maybe one of the good things about having two attorneys. You can select which one you feel is more compelling. I didn't find him disagreeable. I just found him having a different perspective. But whatever, Mr. Fitzgerald, your choice in that competitive process has resigned following submission of a legal opinion that I would guess, it hasn't been made public, but I would guess, given the context, y'all didn't like. Strike two. Now you're going to have another board attorney up at the plate. And that person may agree with whatever you want. That is not to your advantage, nor to the advantage of the college. Or they may disagree with your perspective and what you want. And in that case, strike three. The choice is up to you. You have an obligation to serve the college and to serve the interests of the college, Mr. Swanson. You do. And I trust you will do that. It's your duty. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan?
The next comment has been submitted by Carrie Devon of Graham Blank on the items 1.38, 1.39, 1.40, etc.
Hello, and thank you for this opportunity. It's been a while since I've been here. Quite frankly, I wasn't planning on speaking again, but the shenanigans that has been going on by this board has made me feel very obligated to do so. So the manner in which this board has behaved is embarrassing and unprofessional. As it relates to the board attorney, there is clearly something wrong with the board. When two board attorneys have quit their roles as attorneys within the last 6 months, it's the board, it's not the attorneys. Simply because you're getting advice that you don't like, and that's what it comes across as, you're choosing to do away with these board attorneys. Even if you change the narrative of this agenda that you're firing Mr. Fitzgerald and his law firm, does not change the facts. The fact is, he quit. So you can say it as many times as you want that you're firing him and letting him go. It does not change the truth. I know the truth is not always easy, but we stand on the truth. I know you think you're winning again by trying to change the facts. And again, I will say these are not the facts. The facts are that he quit. You hand-selected the firm that Mr. Brickley represented. You didn't like the advice that you were being given as far as the conflict of interest. So he resigned. You hand-selected the firm that Mr. Fitzgerald works for. You don't like the advice that you've been given based on the facts, that it's a conflict of interest. So you can try to change the facts as you may, but the facts remain the same. And we are going to continue to speak out. You can change the narrative, you can try and change people's minds, you can change the agenda, but it doesn't change the truth, and we stand on the truth. And we know that we are going to be successful when we stand on the truth. So you may be winning, or you may think you're winning right now, but the truth will prevail. Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan?
The next comment has been submitted by Andrew Watchhorn of Flint, Michigan, on the topic of item 1.38, 1.40, and 1.41.
I think I'll add 1.39 to that as well, but it is on the agenda, so I think that's appropriate. And I'd like to address my comments to Trustee Wolcott. We have friends in common, and I have been trying to understand why this board is behaving the way it is, and they say that you are a reasonable person. I haven't because, and I hope to do that. So what I would also like to have happen is there is clearly, because this agenda was written, a letter of resignation from the board attorney. And I would like it to be read into the record so that we can understand, along with the information that you're going to give to the public, what they wanted the board to know in their resignation letter. That's what I hope we'll be able to do in this board meeting. I appreciate the rest of your time as well.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Have we got a resignation letter yet, or no? Because I have not seen anything or heard.
We have not, but we'll address that later, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jordan?
The next comment has been submitted by Bobby Walton of Davison, Michigan, on the items of 1.38 through 1.41.
My name is Bobby Walton, and I live in Davison, Michigan. I prepared my notes to remind us where we've been in the last 2.5 years regarding board attorneys. Over the past 2.5 years, the Mott College Board of Trustees has shown an unusually ham-handed approach to hiring and working with the board attorney. The pattern began in January 2023 with Andy Everman, Janet Couch, Jeff Swanson, and Wendy Wolcott. They got together to call a special meeting for the purpose of firing the board attorney, Amber Brennan. This was hatched behind closed doors. It was an early warning sign of shenanigans to come. The January effort to fire the board attorney failed, but Amber was fired in April 2023. The reasons were never explained, but the Board 4 had started a story of a board out of control. All during the summer and early fall, the board wrestled with executing a search for a new board attorney, while Everman introduced several times the motion to hire his personal attorney, William Brickley. Brickley's law firm, Garin Lukow Miller, was one of the bidders responding to the RFP issued by the college in the fall. Others were Cummings, McClory, Davis, and Acho, Plunkett Coney, Dixonson Wright, and Butzel Long. Brickley was hired in December 2023. Everman got his attorney. Brickley supported the board and the wishes of Andy Everman. He provided legal guidance and support for Everman's campaign to hire Shonda Richardson Snell to be Mott's president. That is until the issue of a serious conflict of interest arose with Janet Couch and her daughter's business relationship with Richardson Snell. When Brickley's legal analysis was dismissed by the Board 4, Brickley resigned in December to save his professional reputation. He said he was protecting his license to practice law. He had served for just a year. Since Brickley would not write the contract for Richardson Snell as president, the Board 4 rubber-stamped Everman's choice of Butzel Long to do the work. Work on the contract for Richardson Snell began in January. Carrie DeWitt of Butzel Long did the work. My impression of watching him present to the Finance Audit Committee was that he came as an advocate for the interests of Richardson Snell, not the Mott College community. Now, following Brickley's resignation, the board had to find a new law firm and board attorney. The RFP process began again. Interviews were conducted on February 24th of this year. Competitors were Cummings, McClory, Davis, and Acho, Dickinson Wright, Miller Johnson, Monahan, and the Kelly firm. Butzel Long was not in the mix. The board chose Cummings, McClory Davis, and Acho, and attorney Sean Fitzgerald. Today, the board is meeting to accept the resignation of Sean Fitzgerald as board attorney. And I understand that instead of accepting the resignation, you prefer to consider it a termination. Fitzgerald served about 3 months. What was the issue that caused him to resign? He seemed to be a very good lawyer. Perhaps he did not give advice the board wanted to hear. Now you propose to hire Butzel Long. Attorney Carrie DeWitt has written the president's contract and will be working as interim attorney to the board. The proposal is also made to have Butzel Long represent the board in the lawsuit filed by the MCCEA. I may be wrong, but it seems the leadership on this board has left evidence of at least 2 things that are true. They do not discuss their challenges and choices in a public forum, and they are looking for legal advice that mirrors their own ignorance. The goal of service on the board by the Board 4 is not to serve the community of Mott College or to manage the business of Mott College. They have been accused of having a political agenda. The evidence of a political agenda is there as we once again go through the charade of a public process that has already been decided in private. How does this serve the public interest? Perhaps you can tell me.
Thank you. Jordan?
The next comment has been submitted by Arthur Woodson of Stewart Avenue.
Good evening. I guess I can start off by saying I am tired of Republicans and Democrats because they like to push their ideology and their beliefs. They so far left and so far right that the common people can't even get justice or anything else. What I see here is when Democrats was in control, Republicans didn't have anything to say, they didn't have a voice. But now that the Republicans are in control, the Democrats don't have a voice. Y'all push everything through. And it's just tit for tat. Just tit for tat. Not just here. I go to a lot of different meetings, and this is the same thing. Here in Genesee County, not just Flint, not just Mott, but everywhere, except for one place, and that's Genesee County Board of Commissioners. They have a president that's a Democrat and vice president as a Republican. And their meetings run smoothly. They might not agree, but at the same time, they work together. Here, it's totally different. How is it that 2 lawyers resign? I done been to the meetings and seen both lawyers work. The first one that resigned, he seemed like he was always with Andy until he disagreed about the conflict of interest. And now he's gone. The other one, I would be mad too if I have another lawyer looking over my shoulder. Ms. Snell, nothing against you, nothing at all. But fair is fair. If the process wasn't followed, you will have angry people. And the process wasn't followed. Y'all ramrodded all this down everybody's throat. And y'all know y'all did. And fairness wasn't here. Y'all had 4 votes. She put in for it. Y'all had the votes to vote for her. Why not make it look fair and transparent? That was it. And you wouldn't have had any arguments, you wouldn't have had anything because it would have been done fairly. Not this lawyer right here, but I know about Butzel Long. Butzel Long goes along with who's ever in front of him. When they sued for the Flint Board of Education, along with ACLU, they told people, for the kids, something is better than nothing. they ready to settle right off, right then and there. They go along with who's ever in front of them. People in Flint and Genesee County should be tired. Boards, city council, everybody, elected officials, everybody should be tired, man, because you're constantly fighting, constantly maneuvering, constantly find a way to be corrupt, constantly finding a way to be dirty to one another. Do y'all ever sleep because you're constantly thinking of how to get on each other's nerve and piss off the residents? And it's really sad. I mean, seriously, it's really sad to come here to the college and find that a group of people won't listen to the faculty, the students, won't listen to anyone. I mean, I haven't been coming to the meetings, and y'all not listening to the people who really makes the college work because of your beliefs, I don't know. Your ideology, I don't know. What is it that you're trying to push that no one knows anything about? I really, really don't know. But it's sad that it's being pushed without any input, and then when you do get input, you don't listen to it. And it's really sad. Thank you.
Thank you. George?
The next comment has been submitted by Paula Weston of Flushing, Michigan, on the topic of board attorneys.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paula Weston. I think everybody here, almost everybody here in the room knows who I am. I am a professor of English here at Mott Community College. I'm also, as it turns out, the representative, the division rep for arts and humanities for the MCCEA. For people here in the audience who don't know what that is, the MCCEA is the faculty union, right? But I'm not here tonight in the capacity of employee of the college, professor of English, or MCCEA division rep, because I'm just here as a concerned citizen. That is what I'm here for. I live in Flushing, so I'm in district, right? In Mott's district. I moved to Michigan, actually, to take this job. And so I am deeply committed not only to Mott as an employee, but I am deeply committed to Mott as somebody who lives here and wants to see everything about Mott succeed, because Mott's success in Genesee County and beyond Genesee County helps everybody here, right? So I'm not going to repeat the stuff that people have said about, you know, 2 attorneys resigning and perhaps, I don't know, ideological clashes, things like that. That's not, I'm not concerned about that. But I am concerned about money. And I am concerned about how much this costs the college. I'm concerned about the number of lawyers that show up to meetings, about billable hours. I'm concerned about the number of meetings that there are, the number of meetings that are canceled. I don't necessarily know how it works, that if somebody has committed to a meeting and then a meeting is canceled, you know, somebody being an attorney, I'm sorry, you know, is that time still billed? I don't, since 2023, when January of 2023, when there was a shift in the board majority, the beginning of Andy Everman's tenure as chair. Since that time, I've just never seen so many attorneys at board meetings. And there have been committee meetings where I've attended where there have been 3 attorneys, and I realize that Mr. Godola works for the college, and not the board, but there have been 3 attorneys and 2 committee members. And I mean, I have a lot of concerns about how things have gone, and I've expressed them, right, as a professor, as a member of the union. But lately, I just can't stop thinking about how much money this has cost the college And that's one of the things that I am most concerned with, right? Like, I can't get past it. And there's another meeting tomorrow, for which I got notice at 12:47 p.m. today that there's a meeting at 3 p.m. tomorrow of the policy committee. And I don't know how many attorneys are going to be present for that meeting, and I don't know how much money that is going to cost. And I don't, and I attend these meetings where business doesn't get settled, and then it needs to continue, which happens in every organization, and I totally understand that and totally appreciate that. And I completely appreciate debate about things that have to happen for the college and for this board, 100%. But I look at the inefficiency of the meetings, which have improved only slightly, I think, since Mr. Everman is no longer part of the board. And I just can't help but think about the money that is being spent. And it's one of the things that really concerns me, is just as somebody who lives here in Genesee County. And then there are meetings where like the last meeting where Ms. Richardson-Snell got her contract, where work from a previous meeting the week before was negated, wasting the time of board members who are not paid, but also, there were attorneys present that I'm sure weren't just working out of the goodness of their heart. And so it strikes me that the way business of this, the business of this board is often conducted is fiscally irresponsible in that regard. So I really do hope moving forward that, especially since Ms. Richardson-Snell has her contract now, that the business of the board goes much more smoothly, and that whoever is hired permanently as attorney for the board is as ethical as the last two attorneys were, and they were. I didn't always agree with them, but I had a lot of respect for both Bill Brickley and Sean Fitzgerald. I still have a lot of respect for them. And I really do hope that the board considers the amount of money spent in doing its business for the college. It is, I teach English and I'm a words person, not very good with them tonight, but I can wrap my head around some math, and I find it concerning, and that's the only reason I came here tonight, was to express that. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
That would conclude public comment.
No. No. Okay. 1.38, retention of the law firm of Butzel Long to represent MCC Board of Trustees in litigation, Mott Community College Education Association versus Mott Community College and Mott Community College Board of Trustees, Ingham County Circuit Court Case number 25-2445-AW. I've asked Carrie DeWitt to explain what's going on with that. If you would, Carrie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You have a 2-count lawsuit asserting a claim for mandamus and a claim for declaratory judgment brought by the union. It was recently amended to add recent board meetings, but other than that, the second version of the lawsuit is essentially the same as the first. To protect the board, which is proposed to be my client, I asked for permission and received permission from the chair to file a special appearance as counsel for the board while the decision of who would represent the board in the lawsuit was undertaken by the board. And that's important because we have a June 23rd response date with lots of things to consider. I opened communication in that capacity with the plaintiff's counsel, the union's counsel, as well as counsel for the college, John Godola, and outside counsel for the college, Kendall Williams, and began preparation of potential responses in a joint privileged way. We're evaluating on the assumption that I could conceivably be appointed as counsel for the board in the lawsuit, responses that raise serious questions about where, when the suit was filed, where and when it was filed, and how the allegations, the counts within the lawsuit were styled, that is, created within the context of the complaint, and whether those defects as to the location, the timing, and the styling, the writing within the lawsuit are serious enough to have the case dismissed now or at a later date. Those decisions need to be undertaken now to meet the June 23rd response date. Mr. Chair, does that suffice as an explanation as to where we are?
Thank you. With that, with what Carrie has said, I would now entertain a motion to retain Butzel Long as our legal firm representing the Board of Trustees in this case.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Just got our microphone. Turn your microphone off, Candace. I just think that right now Butzel and Long they've already been doing this for a while with us. They're familiar with the case. They know what's going on. So at this point, I think this makes sense until we move forward to the next phase.
Okay. Anything else? Well, the only thing I have to say about that is that the plaintiff's attorneys had contacted Butzel long before they got a hold of any of us. So Butzel Long is in a good position to handle that. I think they will do fine for us, and for that reason, I will support this motion. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
On item 1.38, retention of the law firm of Butzel Long to represent MCC Board of Trustees in litigation, the case in Ingham County Circuit Court, case number 25-2445AW. Roll call vote. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Trustee Walcott?
Yes.
Chair Swanson?
Yes.
The motion to retain the law firm for that lawsuit has passed.
Thank you. Moving on to 1.39, termination of the present board attorney Cummings, McClory, Davis, and Echo. Do we have a motion on what to do with that?
Yes, I'll make the motion. The motion should read to terminate. Let's see, what is the law firm? I'm sorry. I made notes here. Okay, termination of contract with Cummins, McClory, Davis, and Echo to serve as the board attorney.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion that's seconded. Any discussion?
I've already said my piece in the last time.
Okay, any
Yep.
other discussion?
Me too.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
On the motion, item 1.39, the termination of the contract with Cummings, McClory, Davis, and Atcho to serve as board attorney. Trustee Walcott?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, on the motion to terminate the contract with Cummings, McClory, Davis, and Atcho to serve as board attorney.
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Chair Swanson?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, 1.40, the retention of the law firm of Butzel Long to serve as the interim board attorney.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion, to retain the law firm of Butzel Long to serve as the interim board attorney pursuant to the terms of engagement put forth by the firm.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second?
Okay, motion, and it's been seconded. Any discussion? I do have a question. That's for just interim.
Yes,
so that
correct.
until we can go through the process of getting another one?
Correct.
Okay,
That was my initial thought.
okay. Any other discussion?
I think that they have proven themselves to be capable of providing us representation. Carrie Witt has been responsive to the board's needs and has been good to work with.
Okay, thank you. Your mic's on, by the way. Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
On item 1.40, the retention of the law firm of Butzel Long to serve as interim board attorney. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Trustee Walcott?
Yes.
And Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That motion passes.
1.41, search for a new board attorney. Is there a motion for this?
Mr. Chair, I move that we authorize Board Chair Jeff Swanson to work with Human Resources in connection with the process for retaining a new board attorney and for the chair to direct that process.
Support.
Okay. Could you repeat that motion, please?
I move that the board authorize Chair Jeff Swanson to work with Human Resources in connection with the process for retaining a new board attorney and for the chair to direct that process.
Is that work with HR to come up with a RFP for?
I'll write it for you and send it to you.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion. Been seconded. Any discussion? Okay. And just for the record, that's just to come up with the RFP, the parameters and,
Yes.
okay. All right, thank you. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
The motion on 1.41 regarding the search for a new attorney, the motion is to authorize the chair to work with Human Resources to determine what the process should be for finding a new board attorney, and that the chair would be able to direct that process and give the go-ahead on that. Did I mangle that too much?
Nope, you got it. Thank you.
Let me take the roll call vote then. Trustee Walcott?
Yes.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Chair Swanson?
Yes.
That motion passes.
Okay, 1.42, the election of a board treasurer. A little background on that. Trustee Daly tendered his resignation as treasurer and from leadership on the board. I would like to table this until we have the full board here, so that I'll be able to talk with a couple of the other members to see if they we can table this, correct?
I believe what you want to do is postpone it definitely to a time certain, perhaps the next meeting, or when would you like to suggest it be?
I will not be attending the next meeting, the August meeting.
Next regular meeting will be in August.
Yes.
So the motion is to postpone the item of the election of board treasurer to the August regular meeting, the meeting in August.
If that is okay with the board.
Support.
So the motion's on the floor.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
On the motion to postpone the election of board treasurer to the August meeting, Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Walcott,
Yes.
Trustee Couch,
Yes.
Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That motion passes.
1.43, the reorganization of the Board Finance and Audit Committee. As I stated earlier, Trustee Daly had resigned from being the treasurer, which would remove him from being the chair of the Finance Committee. He also stated that he didn't want anything to do with leadership. So I'm going to propose that we replace John Daly temporarily with Candace Miller until we can get a new board treasurer, and then we'll address it at that time. So I guess that would be a motion, correct?
Yes, you made that motion, it needs support.
Have a motion, any
Support.
support? And supported.
Was Trustee Walcott? Okay, thank you.
Any discussion?
Is that something you're willing to accept? Yes. Okay.
Okay, and that's temporarily until we appoint a new board treasurer, correct? Okay.
Correct.
All righty, any more discussion? Roll call vote, please.
On the motion to replace Trustee Daly with Trustee Miller as a member of the Board Finance and Audit Committee temporarily until an election of a board treasurer is made, Trustee Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Walcott,
Yes.
Trustee Couch,
Yes.
Chair Swanson.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Okay, with all the work being done, I'll call this meeting adjourned.
Could we have board comments, please?
It's not on the agenda.
Could I speak on something, please?
Yeah?
Okay. I just want to address the public comment regarding Amber Brennan. I've never spoke on this issue before. But something that really bothers me is when I first got on this board, I was approached by several people, but 2 students in particular that told me, and the faculty knows about this, that they were having a meeting in the Curtis Mott building that Amber Brennan, along with some others that were in there, and the purpose of that meeting was to teach the students how to make board comments, negative board comments. And not only did this one student go there and reported back to me, that's exactly what happened. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Not only did I get the email that was sent to me from that student, like I said, they were in that class and came out and reported, amongst others that were in there, that Amber was trying to teach these students. The majority of them was athletics. And then my second public comment, or the comments that I want to talk about, is the negative public comments towards the new board. Not one person in this audience, other than Art Woodson, has ever came to me or called me or messaged me, and he was always so respectful to me in every way. But as long as I've been on this board, I've got nothing but bashed and belittled and talked about, and not one time has any of these people in this audience came to me and said, hey, Trustee Wolcott, can we talk? What's going on? Hear my side of the story, or let me hear your side of the story. Not once. It's easier to flip the rhetoric and change, you know, what they think of me in the community, which is, it couldn't be any more false. So anyways, thanks to Art Woodson for always at least keeping it real.
Would anybody else like to make a comment? No? Okay, I'll adjourn this meeting.